Hello, welcome to the preview show. This is the show where we preview, the biggest games coming up over the weekend across Europe. There's one interesting matchup. Liverpool, after being booted out of the UEFA Champions League, they'll be taking on Newcastle at Wembley for the Carabao Cup. Quite an interesting matchup coming up. Mo Salah and Co at the four, and then also you have Alexander Isak, Anthony Gordon. Anthony Gordon will actually be missing from that game after being suspended in Newcastle's previous game. But not just that, the top four race in England keeps on intensifying. Big games coming up where you have Manchester City also playing against Brighton. Arsenal will be hosting Chelsea. At least Arsenal will be hoping that they could at least just push towards perhaps maybe upsetting Liverpool, who have now opened up a 15-point gap between themselves and the Gunners. There's Leicester also taking on Manchester United. That's more like, a relegation dogfight, I can tell. But then in Spain, Barcelona, after the demise of their team doctor, which led to the postponement of their previous game, they would be in action. They'll be taking on Atletico Madrid at the Metropolitano. You have Villarreal also at the La Ceramica taking on Real Madrid. And then to Italy, where there's one big game coming up. Atlanta will be hosting Inter Milan. So a win for Atlanta in that game could see them move within 1 point of the league leaders, Inter Milan. And a win for Inter Milan would do them so much good because at this point, they are still vying for almost every single trophy available this season. So my name is Josiah, and this is the preview show. Don't forget to also subscribe to our channel. You can also have your say, especially your predictions. And I'll be taking some one or two predictions, and I'll be, announcing them, especially if you're able to get a prediction right. Then in the review show, I'll definitely give you a shout out. And let us also know where you're watching this video from. Now, so let's move into business now, where the Carabao Cup final will be this weekend. So it's a big one. Newcastle United taking on Liverpool. So we all know the fate of the two teams. Liverpool were actually gunning for 4 titles about a couple of weeks ago until they got knocked out of the FA Cup by Plymouth Argyle, and then also they got knocked out of the UEFA Champions League not long ago by Paris Saint-Germain. So that leaves them with 2 more titles to gun down. But then with the Premier League, it looks all but certain that Liverpool could win it. So it leaves them with 1 more trophy, to collect, and that is the Carabao Cup, which they'll be playing against Newcastle. So let's just look at the two teams and the strength of the two teams. So Liverpool will be going into this game with no major injury worries because every player, is available for selection. But for Newcastle, they will be missing the services of Anthony Gordon, who has been suspended, for picking up, a bookable offense. He picked up, a red card and faces, a ban. So Anthony Gordon wouldn't be available. But for Newcastle, I'm not sure they'll really be so much, worried about that because they have players who can equally play in that position. And one of the players who is likely to start at the left-hand side of attack could be Harvey Barnes, who has himself been sensational, for Newcastle since joining them. But for Liverpool, I believe it could be still, Diogo Jota leading the lines, Mo Salah, and then also Luis Diaz still in contention. Definitely, Ancelotti would go with his favorite midfield trio of Dominic Szoboszlai, Alexis McAllister, and then also Gravenberch. And in defense, yes, definitely, Liverpool wouldn't want to change the setup, especially after missing out of the UEFA Champions League. They understand the importance of building a strong mentality and what it will mean to them to grab the very first trophy available for the season. I don't know. It's going to be a tough one for Newcastle. They've been good. They've been solid defensively. The last game they played was on Monday when they went to the Olympic Stadium and beat West Ham United by a lone goal, courtesy Bruno Guimaraes, who himself has been awesome for Newcastle this season. But it's becoming so tight to call. It's a close call. I don't know what to say, but I just feel my emotions and how biased I am is just tilting my prediction towards a Newcastle win. I don't know what you have to say, but perhaps you could also drop your predictions in the comment section. Now let's move to the Premier League because games will be coming up this weekend. Manchester City will be in action. They'll be at Etihad. So mind you that for Manchester City, there's just one available trophy for them to win, and that is the FA Cup, which they'll be playing against Bournemouth at the Vitality Stadium. But over the weekend, they'll be facing Brighton, a very resurgent Brighton and Hove Albion side, who have been very, very good in recent times. City are coming into this game at the back of a 1-0 defeat at the City ground to Nottingham Forest. That was on the last match week. So City blowing hot and cold. They've not really been convincing for me. I feel they've been the worst side, perhaps. And Manchester United, or together with Manchester United, the two Manchester clubs have been the worst side so far this season in the Premier League. Now, Brighton, on the other hand, are also playing so well. Now, they also have João Pedro, the Brazilian international, leading the lines for them. Yakuba Minter, you have Mitoma, Jorginho Ritter, all playing so well. Fantastic, guys up front for Fabian Hezeler's side. But then they also have Daniel Nitaki Welbeck, the Englishman, also being their force from the bench. So he scored a couple of goals for them. He's been so brilliant for them in the last couple of weeks in the Premier League, getting them some good goals down the stretch. I think it should be a very difficult one, but I feel that the points, the most likely result from this one could be that the points will be shared. I don't know what you think, but then you can also drop your prediction. But then the biggest game, so in or over the weekend, could be the game at the Emirates, where Arsenal will be taking on Chelsea. So Chelsea are also playing for multiple titles. So the Conference League is one of them. And then also, perhaps you wouldn't rule them out of the Premier League. But then they've come up against an Arsenal side that got themselves, a favourable 2-2 draw against PSV in midweek to advance to the last 8 of the UEFA Champions League. Tough games. Arsenal, they've really been, so good against Chelsea in recent times. Chelsea, they have struggled to get a better of their London rivals in recent times. It's a tough call, but for me, I feel Cole Palmer, after his recent dip in form, has really affected Chelsea generally. Arsenal, they are playing well. Yes, even in the midst of the injuries, they have some guys who get the job done for them. So we saw Sterling assist twice in their game against PSV. We've seen Ethan Nwaneri, who scored in the first leg of the round of 16 game against PSV away from home. So Declan Rice is playing well, being supported by Martin Odegaard and then also Thomas Partey. It should be a difficult one for Chelsea. I think Arsenal could end up winning by 3-0 or even more. That's if they keep or get their scoring boots on. Leicester City will be entertaining Manchester United. Another big game at the King Power Stadium. It's not going to be so easy for Leicester City, especially looking at the form of Manchester United now. United were able to upset Arsenal. They got themselves a 1-1 draw. The points were shared in that one, and they'll be going into this game with so much confidence, especially if they are able to knock out Real Sociedad as well in the UEFA Europa League. I think I'll go for a Manchester United win. It's fair to say that United has what it takes to beat Leicester City. Leicester were decent against Chelsea over the last game week, but unfortunately they just do not have the men to score. I don't know what is missing from Ruud van Nistelrooy's team that doesn't really get them the goals. El Carados is there. There's Jordan Ayew. There's Jamie Vardy. There's Patson Daka. All these guys are available, but the Foxes keep on struggling in front of goal. Now to Spain. Big games coming up at the Riyadh Air Metropolitano. Atletico Madrid will be taking on Barcelona. Big game. So Barcelona, they failed to play over the last week or the weekend because of the sudden tragic death of their team doctor. But then they'll be in action again. They'll be taking on Atletico Madrid. Atletico Madrid look wounded. They have their tails up. Actually, after that unfair decision, that controversial decision that went against them in their UEFA Champions League second leg game against Real Madrid, they felt like VAR is becoming a thorn in the flesh of football lovers. So Atletico Madrid, Julian Alvarez, for me, I pity them. It was just sad that the referee just didn't allow Julian Alvarez to retake that penalty. That would have been the fairest decision he could have taken. But unfortunately, the decision went against them. And this time, I believe that Barcelona themselves could incur or they could invoke the wrath of Atletico Madrid. Trust me, I'm going for an Atletico Madrid win. They need to win this game to appease their fans. It wouldn't be easy for them, but I think Atletico Madrid, they have what it takes. The likes of Griezmann, Julian Alvarez, Alexander Charlotte, Giovanni Simeone. No, mention again the names. Juliano Simeone, if I should put it, Conor Gallagher, and co. Atletico Madrid are winning against Barcelona. I don't care. I'm being biased. I understand. But I'll go for an Atletico Madrid win over Barcelona. Then one other game that would be very difficult will be at the Estadio de la Ceramica, where Villarreal will be hosting Real Madrid. Madrid themselves, they were lucky against Atletico. I understand. But then this will be a very, very big game for them, nonetheless. It should be a tough game for Madrid. I see this game ending, in a stalemate. 2-2, 1-1, 3-3, yeah, any draw at all. But then I'll tip Madrid to, get this one over the line with. Because after this round of games, will be international break. And if they should fail to win this and Barcelona should open up the gap again, then that will be trouble for Real Madrid because Barcelona have got an outstanding game to play against Osasuna at home. So I am tipping Barcelona to lose and then Real Madrid to win, at least to keep the title charged and race alive and even more interesting. Now let me zoom into the Scudetto a bit. Let's go to Italy. Let's find out what's happening over there. So one of the biggest games coming up this weekend will be Atalanta at the Giuseppe Stadium hosting league leaders Inter Milan. So Inter Milan cruised into the last 8 of the UEFA Champions League with a 4-1 aggregate scoreline over Feyenoord. So easy for them. You don't expect them, to drop points over there. But for Atalanta, guess what's happening to them? In the last weekend, game week, if I should put it, they were at the Allianz Stadium against Juventus, and they managed to put 4 past Juventus. The first time Juventus has lost a home game this season. Tells you how strong this team is. That is Gasperini's team. Attacking-wise, they're a team that scores a lot of goals, but then sometimes you question their stability in defense. They look a bit shaky, but on a good day, trust me, they just know how to get a job done. So easy, comfortable for them. They know how to do it. So interesting times in the Serie A. As far as the title race is concerned, Napoli could just take the advantage, perhaps, if points are being shared in that one. Then a win for Napoli will see them just usurp Inter Milan to top spot. But for Atalanta, I feel there's time for them to concentrate on winning the league, something they've never done in their entire history. They've never won the Scudetto before. The best they've done is to win the Europa League and then the Serie B a couple of times. But for the Scudetto, the Serie A itself, they've never won it before. I'm tipping Atalanta. Yes, let me be biased again. Today I'm being biased throughout. I'm tipping Atalanta to get a win over Inter Milan. I know if you're an Inter Milan fan, you wouldn't be happy. Yeah, but that's what I'm hearing. That's what my projections and my analysis tell me. So Atalanta to win against Inter Milan, at least to set the league, to make it even more exciting and competitive again. So these are the games we are previewing on the preview show on the Our Media channel. My name is Josiah. But first, don't forget that we would also want to hear your predictions for the weekend. Let us know which teams are winning, and also let us know where you're watching the video from. It's very, very important. So in our subsequent videos, we can just give you a shout out. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Bye-bye. I'm out.